The square of the sum of two positive consecutive even numbers exceeds the sum of their squares by 336. Meaning that this equals this. Okay? So the square of the sum of two positive consecutive even numbers. The square of the sum of two positive consecutive even numbers means that you're going to add them, then you're going to square them because it's the square of the sum. So you're going to add the first one's x plus 2, because if I add 2 to x, I'll get the next even number squared equals the sum of their squares. So the sum of their squares is different. Even though it almost sounds the same as this, it's different. Here it says that I'm going to square them, then I'm going to add them. Right? So x squared plus x plus 2 squared plus 336. Right? Because it says that this problem here is 336 more than this problem here. So to make them equal, I add 336 to this side, and then it equals this side. Right? So now I could solve it because I've got my equation. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add what's like terms inside this parentheses. I'm going to add the x to the x, and what I get is 2x plus 2 squared equals x squared plus x plus 2 times x plus 2, because the squared, right? That means, oops. This squared here tells me that I'm going to multiply x plus 2 times itself twice, plus 336. Now I'm going to do 2x plus 2 times 2x plus 2. So 2x plus 2 times 2x plus 2 equals x squared. Then I'm going to multiply these two together, plus x squared, multiply these two together, plus 2x, multiply these two together, plus 2x, then multiply these two together, plus 4, plus 336. These two multiply together give me 4x squared. These two multiply together give me 4x. These two give me 4x. And these two give me 4. I'm going to add these two together because they're like terms. So I'm going to do 2x squared. I'm going to add these two together because they're like terms. I get 4x. And I'm going to add these two together and I get plus 340. Okay. Now, since I have 4x on positive 4x on this side and a positive 4x on this side, I'm just going to cancel them out. When you have the same thing on both sides, you can just cancel them out. They have to have the same number though. So now what I have is 4x squared plus 4x plus 4, and I'm going to move both of these to the left side. I'm going to transpose them by subtracting 2x. So I'm going to subtract 2x squared from both sides. And I'm going to subtract 340 from both sides, minus 340. So now what I get on this side is 0. Now I'm going to combine like terms again. So the 4x squared minus 2x squared gives me 2x squared. Positive 4x, there's nothing that I can add it to, so I'm just going to leave it as positive 4x. And then here I have a positive 4 and a negative 340. When I combine those, I get a negative 336 equals 0. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to divide. I need to get rid of the coefficient of x squared. We can use 3 different methods to solve this equation. To solve this equation, we can use 3 different methods. We could use factoring, completing the square, or the quadratic formula. What I like to use is factoring here. That's what we're going to use here. We're going to factor. To factor, we first got to get rid of the coefficient of x squared by dividing everything by 2. So we get, this cancels out, I get x squared. This becomes positive 2x. And then half of 336, well, half of 300 is 150. Half of 36 is 15, 18. So I'm going to add 18 to 150, and I get 168 minus 168 equals 0. So now to factor, I'm going to find all the factors of x squared, which are x and x. I only have one factor, so I'm going to do my parentheses. So I know that my first terms are going to be x. And then I'm going to factor 168. I need a number that when I multiply it together gives me 168, and when I subtract it gives me 2. That's going to be a tough one. 168, let's see. Let's start with 10. 10 is 10. No, 10 can't be a factor of 168. 10, 12 maybe? Let's try 12. 12. 168 divided by 12 equals 14. Oh, perfect. Perfect guess. 12 times times 14. 12 times 14 equals 168, and 12 minus 14 equals 2, negative 2. So I'm not going to do minus 14, I'm going to do positive 14. So plus 14 minus 12, right? Because 14 times 12 is negative 168, and which is, I want a negative 168. And a positive 14 minus 12 is a positive 2, and that's my middle term. So these are my factors, right? So then I separate them. X plus 14 equals 0. Subtract 14 from both sides. I get x equals negative 14. And then x minus 12 equals 0. I add 12 to both sides, and I get x equals 12. So x equals negative 14, x equals 12. Those are my two answers. Now, since here in the word problem they tell me positive, I know that my negative answer is not going to be my answer. It's not going to be negative 14. So my first number is going to be 12. So the first number is going to be 12, 12, and the next number is going to be 14. Those are my two numbers. Those are my two answers, and I'm done with my word problem here.